Welcome to WHU Inside Business. My name is Katrin Bädorf. I'm Director at the Center of Asset and Wealth Management at WHU. And I'm very happy to welcome Gerhard Höhan.
Hello.
Hello, CEO and founder of Investment Punk Academy. Today we want to talk about the long-term perspective of fintechs. Large banks like Deutsche Bank, Commerzbank, or the German Savings Banks Association are well known for offering a broad range of services, products, local subsidiaries, and reliability. Nowadays, evolving fintechs are trying to disrupt their business, mainly by developing highly specialized offerings. In your opinion, will the fintechs evolve to general online banks or stay in their specific niche market?
I think in the beginning, the fintechs will pretty much capture the most profitable niches. So like, for example, consumer lending, selling financial products to small and medium-sized investors like robo-advisors, to peer-to-peer lending, international payments, and things like this, because there the profit margins are high. The banks have little to offer against it. And it's an easier business model. A universal bank business model is very complex also from a regulatory perspective, and therefore I think that's the first step. In the long run, I think digital banks will evolve to be more full service financial services provider, because let's say if banks get deposits, they also have to do something with it, because if they deposit it at the ECB, they get negative interest rates. And obviously the next logical step would be for them also to provide certain types of standardized loans, like car loans, leasing financings, or certain real estate loans which are standardized and can be easily done via an online platform. Obviously more individualized business like large corporate loans, global loans, let's say wealth management for high net worth individuals with complex corporate and trust structures. This is something which fintechs won't do for a while.
Most financial services depend highly on reliability. In your opinion, how can fintechs build customer trust without the local presence that traditional banks do have?
Well, I don't think they need a local presence anymore, and the question of trust in banks, I think, has been severely shattered. I mean, if you look at all the scandals, including German banks, but on the global scale, I think the question is, whom do you trust more? A new economy company which is still clean, or an old economy company which has lots of lawsuits, which could be in some cases even threaten their existence. And if you look at the Deutsche Bank discussion, I mean, this threat was quite real. And also the refinancing costs of Deutsche Bank are not particularly low. And if you look at Commerzbank or also comparable banks in other countries, the credit ratings of these banks are not particularly attractive. The credit ratings are lower than some of their corporate customers. So obviously, if you give money to a, let's say, venture capital funded startup, which could be gone in 2 years, many people will say no. But on the other hand, I think if you build a solid online financial products or fintech startup, which has also solid finances, why not? I mean, obviously, you might not want to deposit 2 million euros at an online bank right now. But I think for the services I described before, so mainly consumer lending, international payments, peer-to-peer lending, crowdfunding, and things like this, online platforms are simply better suited because they produce better results at lower costs. Like on consumer lending, an algorithm provided by, let's say, a fintech, or also some banks have these algorithms, will provide better results than the policy judgment of an individual banker. And it will be much, much more cost efficient.
Okay. Another aspect is regulation. Government regulations today mainly affect the business of traditional banks. With a growing number of customers, fintechs may face similar constraints in the future. Do these regulations contain a high risk for future developments, you think? And will fintechs maybe lose a competitive advantage by that?
Yes, of course. I mean, the regulation, the financial services industry is totally overregulated. And that obviously also applies to fintechs, which have a hard time fulfilling all these regulations. So this is a big hurdle which makes fintech startups much more risky and much more capital intensive than other new economy startups. But there's one thing which also all traditional banks have, which means it's an expensive branch network and expensive employees, often employees which you cannot fire because they've been with the bank for a long time, and including retirement liabilities and all kinds of things. And this baggage newly formed companies do not have.
What kind of effects does a growing number of smaller financial service providers have on customers and the financial but also other industries?
Well, number one, it makes things cheaper. I mean, that's one advantage that, for example, right now, I mean, selling financial products to small investors via a branch network is not an economically feasible activity because the regulation is too high. So basically, the offerings are very limited. If you have an online platform which makes it more efficient and cost effective, let's say consumers are going to pay less fees and they're going to have better choice of products and better returns. Also, banks currently are very restrictive in some areas on lending. And I think certain aspects of fintechs, including crowdfunding, including peer-to-peer lending, obviously fill this gap. So I think fintechs will contribute that fees are generally come down, and that also more people have more access to interesting financial products and access to capital. So it's a good development, because basically banks have been very slow, very bureaucratic, and anything which, let's say, stimulates competition and innovation is obviously going to be good for the customers and in the end also for the economies.
Mr. Hörhan, thank you very much for sharing these interesting insights with us today.
Definitely, we wish you all the best. The new economy is going to boom.
Thank you.